Welcome back to Kivumbi 2017. It's now 20 minutes to 7. Now, the bad blood between non-governmental organizations and the government seems to never go away. Last week was the climax of the feuds between the two, with Interior CS Dr. Fred Matiang'i halted what was termed as the Fazul onslaught. But the NGOs Council now want to sue Matiang'i for failing to protect the NGOs. And just yesterday, Maina Kiai, the vice chair of the AFRICOG and board member of the KNHRC, was briefly held at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport in what the pressure group say is intimidation. Or is it? In studio to help us get to the bottom of the whole NGO issue is Tom Okech, the Secretary General for the Coalition for Constitutional Implementation, and Samuel Githinji, the chair of the National Council for NGOs. Welcome, gentlemen. Good to have you in studio. And let me start with you, Mr. Tom Okech. Is this intimidation, do you think?
Yes, it is.
What makes you say so?
Yeah, because all this happening, there is a clear and simple way that it could have been resolved. And like Matiang'i now and even the CSS before him could only commence the PBO Act, the Public Benefits Organizations Act of 2013, and all these issues that are between the government and the civil society could be resolved because that law, when it was brought into place, it was mutually agreed upon, mutually worked on by representatives of the civil society and the government. Debated in the 10th Parliament, passed, signed into law by former President Kibaki. But what remains is only the operationalization, which has gone through 3 CSS now, or 4 in fact, from Waiguru, Kiunjuri, Ngaiseri, and now Matiang'i, and they have all been sitting on it. So
and what has been the delay for the PBO Act to be, passed through? Because all it requires is now just for them to process it and have the signatures done, and for it to go through and put timelines.
I would call it bad blood between the Jubilee government and the civil society, because right from the time they came into office in 2013, they only needed to do a date, a commencement date. But then it has been a push and pull. Well, we've even been to Parliament, we've been to court, and they have refused. They even attempted to change the law, to change some provisions of the law, even before it was commenced. So this has been happening, and we even, as we speak here, we have a court order that Matiang'i is sitting on, which instead of even writing, giving the 90 days, he could have simply have written a commencement date for this law, because there's a court order that he's sitting on. Now, Gaiseri died with it, now he's sitting on it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Mr. Githinji, do you view this as intimidation from your end?
Yes, I do. And for a long time, many years actually, the government has reluctantly moved well with the NGOs. Why? We are seen to be criticizing what the government is doing. But it is not really criticizing. It is saying what to be done. By that, now the government sees as if we are against the government. But on the issue of PBO Act, I want to draw to the attention that the Act was to repeal the NGO Coordination Board. But the people who have been working with the NGO Coordination Board is the Council and the NGO Board. And when the PBO Act was to be prepared, the government in power by then decided for a few people who went to Mombasa for 3 days and came up with a document. The NGO Council, who has worked with the document of the NGO Coordination Act for more than 20 years, they were not invited. When the document was made, now the government realized that this is not the thing that we wanted. And that's why they are sitting on it, because it does not favor them. Mm-hmm. Neither does it, for me, actually, it is good for me, but it does not favor the government. Mm-hmm. That's why now they have come to...
And that's why there's been the delay. But why have you not been vocal on having this PBO Act processed? We are hearing this now, whereas possibly one might say that you've been silent about it so far.
We have been actually on toes on this document. Mm-hmm. But I want to tell you, the government has all the machineries to silence you in whatever the good that you are doing. We have a court order. We have a court order from High Court, actually, saying that it should be commenced. But it has not been. You know, up to this time as we are here, it has not been commenced.
Okay, so then the question would be, what's the way forward? Mr. Okech, what do you see as the way forward, given this is where we are and there seems to be evidently push and shove between government and some of these NGOs?
The way forward from my standpoint would be to commence the PBO Act. But what we are seeing now is that we are working with a paranoid government that is fearful for reasons that are not very clear to us. Because they would say, just like my colleague is saying here, when they came into office, this law was already signed, and they needed only to commence it. Now, if there is a new realization that it is not the law that they required, this means that even they don't believe in what the 10th Parliament did, because it was a whole Parliament that passed this. So we wouldn't say that it was partisan or some people hid somewhere and came up with the law. Then the public had time to engage with the law before it was signed by President Kibaki. So I wouldn't agree that it is about the law that is bad, because even if you go through the law, I don't know what my colleague would pull out that are wrong in the law, some of the provisions that he would say that are wrong. And in fact, it gives us a very good framework for the civil society to engage with the government. It has that very good framework, even in the management of the civil society. What the law gives, maybe that the government may not like, is the more freedom, and what the law allows us to manage ourselves. And I think this is what maybe the government or the government operatives right now may not like. And that's why people like Fazul would come up and want to make their own laws and write letters, want to deregister some of the organizations. And he's been attempting this from 2015, when he attempted to deregister over 900 NGOs, including KHRC, that they are trying to deregister the other day. They had tried this in 2015. This went to court, and the court made a pronouncement over this. Now they are coming with it again. So we are wondering exactly what is wrong with this government. And I would not just accuse Fazul as he is, because he is working under some instruction. So who is this that is instructing Fazul, and where are they heading? I want to say that the government is rolling us back to the days of dictatorship and one-party government, or the one-party rule. But the civil society will not allow this, because if we are able to fight the Moi era and even move through and get the PBO Act, I think we will still be able to stand on our feet and fight for the civic space. I know people may even die, because this has happened before, and even now we see many people dying, deaths that the police cannot resolve. So it is a hard thing that's happening. It's quite unfortunate, but if that is the direction that the government wishes to take, then we will take it with them.
With whatever force that you need to. Now, maybe let's look at the committee that was set up by Dr. Matiang'i. Do you view this as a tactical retreat, or is it a rollback? Could it be a tactical retreat? Because again, 90 days is enough for whatever documents that the government is asking for to be provided, if at all they are available. And if they're not, then of course that's another story altogether. So do you view this committee that was set up to take care of this, at the 90 days that was issued by Dr. Matiang'i, as a tactical retreat, maybe for the government then to attack again?
Let me first of all start by saying Matiang'i might be very sincere in what he is doing. But we have those people who has been in that ministry that knows what they have been doing. So Matiang'i will get information from them that we have done the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, while it is not done, because Matiang'i will not come to sit in that committee. Let me say that if you look at the composition of that committee, you get the name of the National Council of NGOs is indicated well there that the umbrella body of the NGOs, you see. But when it comes to implementation, the NGO council is not there. I'm not there. I was to be there. In fact, I want to say that I went there on Friday when I heard that there's a committee. But the chairperson, and I want to quote Mr. Irungu. Mr. Irungu said that we are not part and parcel to it. And he's the one who has been sitting on that because he was assigned the work of the civil society. So as we are talking of the government, we have to know that we are talking of one person, because once the PS is given an assignment, it is not the executive to come and tell him the strategies on how to work. It is his strategies. The strategies of Irungu is now to use Fazul to do whatever they want to do, then take the information to the.
So why would in your admission, why would you think that these people, you've called them these people who have always been there, what is their mission?
Their mission, actually, according to the little I know, and the marshal that I have been within them, is that when it comes to the, like for example, we are talking about PBO Act, and this we are putting pressure that we want this to be operationalized. Now, for this document not to work, there must be a tactical, ways of seeing that it is not implemented. And this cannot be done by everybody. It is one person who is sitting on it. The one who is holding, that department.
And the question is, why would they want to do that? What do they stand to gain? Or what's...
Well, the little that I have read this document, because we have been talking about it. If you look at Section 66, subsection 1, and the same subsection 2 and 3, you can see truly, for myself, my own conviction, I may not like this document to work the way it is, because we Kenyans, we are so greedy in some, in some aspects. But it has given a way, like, allow me to read some of it. A public benefit organization may also express its views on any issue or policy that is all may be debated, discussed in the course of political campaigns or elections. Mm-hmm. You see now that crowds can be termed in a different way. It has also said that that the NGOs can criticize the government in any policy. You see some of those things. I may not like to see why the place there that we are not working. Mm-hmm. But at least because the people who are given mandate to do this, mm-hmm. they were doing it in a good faith, but we can turn it in a bad...
To use it negatively.
Yes.
And let me come to Mr. Okech. Do you think the NGOs then have misused some of the powers that they have?
No, not at all. And we are currently called PBOs, Public Benefit Organizations. When the PBO Act came into place, now we are called Public Benefit Organizations, PBOs. We have never misused the powers that we are given. And even what my colleague here is reading, that the PBOs can criticize the government. I don't see what is wrong with that, because if in a government that cannot be criticized, it's a dictatorship, and that's not what we would want to have. So this law is very good, and what is happening right now, even in the committee that he has been speaking about, this is buying time, and I want to believe that what happened is that Matiang'i may have realized, or the government, because it wasn't just Matiang'i, before he wrote that letter, they must have consulted, and they may have realized that they went on a wrong foot. And then they decided to retreat, and that could be a tactical retreat before they hit again. So we don't see why he had even to write a letter, because he can pick a phone and call. So this may have been a public relations thing just to show that is good, and he is giving time for the PBOs to be able to give these documents. Mm-hmm. The government didn't realize last week that AFRICOG exists and KHRC exists. They have been in existence for a long time. And you would wonder why they would just wake up one day and then run around like they have just had, some organizations have dropped at JKIA and are working in Kenya. So why now? What is new that they have not known before. So we would trace this back to the time that the Jubilee government came into office, and during the time that the president and the deputy were at the IECC. So they started off with bad blood, and they have, even the president has pronounced, even in public meetings, that the members of the civil society, the PBOs, they go to foreign governments and they're dancing to the tunes of foreign governments. So we can clearly see that the government and the government operatives are not willing to give the civil society or the PBOs that space to be able to operate. And that is why they are refusing to commence this law. And they're even refusing to respect court orders, because if there is a court order, when it was first pronounced, they moved the department that deals with the PBOs from devolution ministry to interior, so as to circumvent the court order. The court again clarified that the minister or the cabinet secretary that is in office wherever the department is domiciled should act on the order. But then Gaiseri refused. Unfortunately, he died. And now the order is still there, and Matiang'i is in office. But instead of doing that, he's writing letters.
Okay.
Why?
So whether the timing, of course, is down to speculation, and for us to, just speculate and say maybe it is because of ABC. But now when we come down to the hard facts, it's either the NGOs are operating legally or illegally. There's no middle line. It's right there. So, Mr. Githinji, it's either they're legal or illegal. And if they're legal, which we would like to believe they are, then the documentation is there to prove that. So there should be no problem after the 90 days.
Well, it did not say the 90 days to operationalize the document. The 90 days is for him to get the information from the committee.
Correct.
So whatever the finding of the committee, that is what the Matiang'i will work with. And now we are saying that we need to have a harmony within the entire civil society. And to have harmony is actually the government and the ministry concerned to know that we are existing and we are doing the right thing and to honor the law. Because this is not what, is not a mere document. This is something that needs to be honored.
But the document cannot be used right now because it has not been operationalized, right?
Yes, but it is a matter of a second, in fact. Yes, it has been, it's a matter of just saying yes, because Kijori did it. Kijori did it. It's only that he did not give a day to start. So it is a matter of Matiang'i waking up in one morning and say, and it becomes to be. And
it comes to be. But
yes.
Before that is done, because, of course, from what you're saying and from what the discussions that have been had there before, there are reasons as to why they may be reluctant to have it done. Before that is done, because that, again, is down to them to have that yes or no, even if it takes a second, what is the situation as we are right now?
Well, we would say that we are in vacuum, or rather we say that we have the NGO Coordination Act 1990, because actually that is what I'm using. I have it, I'm in the office, and that is what we are using. We have not started using the PBO Act. The NGOs are operating under that old law. Whatever way that we want to do, we are not in vacuum. And we are not actually restrained from acting whatever activities. Only that you don't do whatever, the good that you ought to have done because of those frustrations. And especially we are saying when the higher body is weakened, then you see the other the smaller bodies are also very weak. Because now what even the PBO Act talks about the federation. The federation will be the top council of all the people. And that is the council that will give guidance to the other people. When it is weakened, then the other people, individually, will not work well. This is what is done by the government, actually. That the council, which is actually the umbrella body, is weakened. So to get AFRICOG as a person, as an individual, is very easy. Because I will not come to rescue them. You see,
okay.
My colleague here, he is targeted I will not, I will not rescue him because I don't have power.
You don't have the power.
Yes.
Mr. Okech, as we wind up, what do you see as the way forward?
The way forward.
It seems like there's a deadlock here.
Yes,
the devolution ministry doesn't seem to be in a hurry to actualize this. So what do you see as the way forward?
There is lots of confusion right now because even if I talk about Fazul, who is giving orders, Fazul is in office illegally as we speak.
Legally or illegally?
Illegally.
Illegally.
Yeah, the office of Ombudsman had pronounced him unfit to hold public office, but he's still sitting there and giving orders of what to be done. And interestingly, these orders are obeyed like instantly. So we're really wondering who he is other than being said to be the director at the NGO Coordination Board. And going forward, is, I would only tell the civil society that we have a war to fight, and we should be ready for it, because the Jubilee government seems to have declared war on its citizens, and that's what they are doing, and that's why they would even block Maina Kiai from traveling for no reason. He's not a government official and is being asked for clearance at the airport. People are being watched. They're listening on our phones. They're following us wherever we go. So the government is at war with us, and we need to wake up.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So do you have like a directional way forward that you would suggest this is what should be done? Because does that leave you at the mercy of the same government that you're saying is working against you?
We are working with the courts. We would go to court and get court declarations and court interpretation of the various provisions that are there. So when we have them, like now we have an order to commence the PPO Act. So we hold the government to account, even if they refuse to do it, but we hold them to account that they are refusing to do what they are in office to do. So the government is on the wrong.
Mr. Githinji?
Let me first of all say that maybe the president himself may be not very much aware of what is happening. But the people, I started by saying the people down here, they have to see that something is not working according to their department. But I, like a council, the chairperson for this particular time, we have to see that the law is followed to the letter. Failure to that, and in fact, yesterday I was here, and I said that we have given Matiang'i 14 days, and the 14 days that we have given is that after that, if we don't get anything from him, we'll go to court. We'll go to court, actually.
What is it that you're expecting from Matiang'i?
We want Matiang'i to understand what you're saying, tell us what he's doing upon that, because now, I started by saying the top body, which is the council. As per now, we have the NGO council, which is parallel body to the NGO board. When we are not represented in whatever is being done, then I don't think whether the civil society is represented.
So the representation you're looking for is to be part of that committee that has been formed to spearhead this?
That committee, please allow me to tell you that the Act, the 1990 Coordination Act, is that the NGO Council has the representation in the NGO board. And without that, then the NGO Coordination Act is not complete. Fazul could not have woke up that morning and do whatever he's doing, because he could have brought that matter to the board, whereby I could be an automatic member to that board. Now the ministry, through that Ministry of Interior, we have written letters to appoint our people, because it is the ministry to appoint, it is the council to nominate, then the minister appoints. But we have nothing like that. So the board is to work by itself. That is the government. That's what they are saying. And that's why we are getting messages, because it is the government working all over.
Okay, so do you see a sinister, in terms of the constitution of the committee that was set up by Dr. Matiang'i, are you satisfied with that, other than the fact that you're not in the committee?
I don't know who is there. I know they are government officials. Well, I read. I never saw anybody. But if I could be there, I could see who is who, and what is the agenda.
So your issue is that you'd need to be in the committee?
Now, who is talking on behalf of the 10,000 people?
Okay, Mr. Okech, do you have a problem with the constitution of the committee that was set up by Dr. Matiang'i?
Yeah, my problem with them is that I don't think they are out to resolve the issues that we have. They're out there to buy time. Just like the task force that was set up at some point to look again at this PBO Act, which went round the whole year, wasting our time and then coming up with a useless report that was never implemented. So this is another useless committee put there to waste our time and as the government plans out to hit us again.
All right, your closing comments and possibly your message to the government as you await for the 90 days and also for what Dr. Matiang'i has to say.
I would advise Matiang'i to look at the PBO Act, commence it, and as we have always said, that no law is perfect there, and even the constitution that we worked on for a long time. Right now, there are things that we are looking at, and people think some things should be changed. So let him commence this law. Then, if there is anything once in operation that we find out is not working well, then we can come back, sit down, and change that part, but not sit on the whole law.
All right, your closing comments, Mr. Githinji.
Well, we want to see the harmony in every operation. And Mr. Matiang'i is a very able minister, as far as I know him. And he is also straight. But for this particular issue now, he has to tackle it himself. Failure to that, in fact, we have to force it to happen.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Mr. Samuel Githinji, who is a national NGO's chairperson, and also Tom Okech, Secretary General for Coalition of, or rather CCI in short. Thank you for joining us this morning. And that's where we will wind up the Dawn debate. And well, we're going to take a short break, but do stay with us right here on Kivumbi 2017. We will be having more stories that are making headlines, but also we'll be looking at the petition that has been raised by NASA and possibly what are the intrigues that we should expect in the next 2 weeks. So do stay with us right here on Kivumbi 2017.
This is KTN News.
Today we have all the top stories for you. We're covering them in the way only we can right here on KTN News. So what is the very latest on